Hey, that's not the NC outfit. As you probably guessed, I do not have an editorial this week. As you see how scruffy looking, it's just been a busy week. But yeah, there'll still be a new review next week. And once you see it, you'll see one of the reasons I've been so busy this week. But yeah, last time I didn't have an editorial. I did like a top 10 list, just a personal top 10 list, and people really seemed to like it. It went over well, so I just decided I'm gonna do another one here. These are my top 10 favorite movie moments, like just all-time favorite movie moments. Not favorite movies, favorite movie moments, so it doesn't have to be from one of my favorite films or anything like that. Hell, it could be from a film I don't even like very much, but had a really great moment in it. And yeah, these are the ones that just resonate the most to me, and I love thinking about it, just keep coming back and playing in my head, and they're just my favorites. So we're just gonna jump right into it and start with number 10. Number 10. The fight for Gondor in Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. Do I even really need to explain this? This is just one of the biggest battles I've ever seen in a film, and, you know, looking back now, some of it does look kind of fake. I mean, it is, well, even back then it was so CG, but it was so creative, and it was so grand, and it was so epic, and there's so many good moments in it as well. Just the Riders of Rohan, you know, coming over the hill and going in what could be their last charge, and when the elephants come in, I mean, and you think they're winning, and then the elephants come in, I mean, just, you're like, holy crap, like, this is gonna get even bigger, and every single time you think it's wrapping up, you're like, oh, I wish there was a little bit more. Like, they give you that little bit more, and they give just the right amount. And what's so funny with the Lord of the Rings movies, like, the fights have been good in the Lord of the Rings movies, but like when it got to Two Towers, like I really love the Battle of Helm's Deep in the books and even in the Bakshi movie, and I felt they didn't quite get it right in the film. They got a little too cocky, and there's one too many times where someone just lunges into a crowd of orcs and then comes out unscratched. And I was just like, okay, they're looking way too invincible, and just you're not feeling the risk anymore, where the buildup was so good. And in this one, like, the buildup is so good, and the delivery, the payoff is just amazing. Everything about it, even if it kind of looks fake nowadays, is still so grand and still so huge. And, you know, whenever I think people think I'm anti-CGI, and I'm really not. Something like this is a perfect example where you can tell it's CG. I mean, half of that is CG, you know, if not the majority. But it's just amazing in the way they shoot it, and you're so invested, and it's so creative, and it's so action-packed, and the shots, and they just put so much work into it. And it's just such a testament to not only the great world that Tolkien created, but just how hard all these people worked and threw their all into this incredible, God knows how long that action scene was. And it's one of the times where I just remember so many people so often applauding in a theater. I mean, I'm trying to think if I saw this like opening day or something. I don't think I did. But we saw it pretty early, and people were just howling and going nuts and applauding, and the sequence is so good at making you think things are going downhill or something bad's going on, and then like just the exact perfect thing you want to see comes in. I mean, they just knew what to deliver, when to deliver it, how to deliver it, and just when I think of this great big grand action epic sequence, like, this is what pops in my head. I mean, there's like, you know, armies of horses coming over the hills, this giant, you know, castle that's being fought for, and people on ladders getting in, and catapults, and giant monsters, and people with swords and arrows. It's got everything. You've all seen the movie, you know how it is, and you know how awesome it is. I don't even need to explain that much, so we'll just go on to the next one. It's awesome. Number 9. The ending to Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You might actually be thinking of a different moment in this ending than what I'm thinking of. And I can't say too much because it's kind of a spoiler thing, so I won't go into too much detail. But the ending, like right before it cuts to the credits, it is beautiful and it is wonderful. That's not my personal favorite, though. My personal favorite is when Steve Martin gets on the L. He gets on the L and he's just sitting there and he's thinking about being home. And the music and the imagery and sort of the lack of sound, and then him thinking back to all the stuff that he's gone through with John Candy and stuff like that. It is such a warm, just it's such a warm feeling. It's such a warm moment. And for me, I mean, we do kind of the traditional thing around Christmas and Thanksgiving where we go with family, we talk, we joke around, we get in arguments, we disagree, but we all love each other as well. And we do the big dinner and the presents, all that stuff. And it's just one of those things where it's like, it's one of my favorite things. I love getting together with my family, and I love just feeling home. And this whole movie is just about getting home. And in a strange way, it's not even like, you know, whatever. I've missed a holiday though too. I've either had to be somewhere or, you know, someone else has had to be somewhere. So the idea of like missing it is not like the huge holy crap that is in this movie, but at the same time, I don't know, you feel it though too. You feel him just wanting to get home, like he's been away for a while and he's going to be home on this special day, this day that's supposed to be meant for spending time with your family. And there's just these perfect shots of when he's just sitting on the train and he's imagining being home, he's imagining lighting the candles, he's imagining the looks on his children's faces, he's imagining seeing his wife there, he's imagining the food. It's all those little touches that I think when you're younger you kind of take for granted, and then when you're older they just mean the world to you. And I think that scene really captures it. And it's like he's not even there, he's just thinking about being there. And I think sort of that contrast between, you know, this cold L train that he's on and this warm house that's waiting for him, I think is just so wonderful. And yeah, the ending is fantastic too. Like that's a close second. But for me, it's him on that train heading home, and that is just that's just a warm feeling in my heart, and I love it. So yeah, that's number 9. Number 8. The I love it speech from Patton, and the may my thoughts be bloody speech from Hamlet. Yeah, I'm fucking cheating again. I don't care. A lot of people complain how there wasn't the top 11 before, so it's like this will be your top 11. These two speeches, in many respects, have nothing in common, but many other respects actually have quite a bit. The first one I'll talk about the Patton speech real fast. This is the I love it speech. This is Patton is looking over just this mass destruction that he has not been put in charge of. He has wanted a command for a while, and he's slowly getting his way back into it, and now he sees this position where everything has mounted for, in his mind, to this time, this exact right moment, the exact right place, the exact right time, and he realizes, like, you know, his destiny is on the horizon and stuff, that he is going to be a big factor in winning this war, and he's just looking out, and he's letting the moment hit him, and he shakes his head looking out at all this death. I mean, just all this destruction, and he says, I love it. God help me, I love it so. And it's one of those scenes where it's like he acknowledges, what the fuck's wrong with me? Like, I am fucking insane. All these people are dead, and I know the weight of it. I mean, this guy obviously very much cared about his soldiers. I mean, I know people talk about the slap and everything, but it's like he really valued men going out there and risking their lives and sacrificing their lives. I think he really saw it as an insult when soldiers got, you know, army fatigue or whatever and couldn't do it, you know, which is a very real thing. But at the same time, rather than saying, oh, he didn't care, I think it's very much like he really did care to the people that went out there and did, and he saw the other people as cowards, and it's not that black and white. But yeah, it's something where he knows he's kind of messed up. And he knows he's kind of nuts. But he also knows he has this greatness in him that's constantly calling him and constantly pushing him. And it's sort of this beautiful crossroads of both this genius and this madness just finally coming together in this very quiet speech that doesn't have any music or anything. It's just him looking over this landscape that, again, is a great crossroads of possibility and greatness and just death and destruction. And it's just a phenomenal scene, and I think someone that does have, like, this incredible passion for what he does, but, like, has either pushed myself or others, to this extreme. It's something where you kind of go like, once in a while you do kind of go, yeah, what the hell's wrong with me? Like, I know most people don't push themselves as far in some areas as I do. There's people that push themselves further. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like when people are saying like, man, you really, really work hard. I'm like, really? I just thought like people worked even harder than this. Like, they work where they get like, no sleep and there's bags under their eyes and stuff like that. And I do sometimes too, but yeah, but then when people are pointing out like how many hours they work and how many breaks they take and stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, I usually don't do that. So it varies, but I definitely like my time off and stuff. I'm getting to the personal stuff. It's something I relate to because I really love moments that are just great crossroads like that. Just these great combinations of, like great joy and great misery, or great redemption and great sadness. I love those kind of crossroads scenes. And on top of that, Hamlet is very similar. This is the big speech before the intermission, both in the movie and in most stage versions. Most people know the story of Hamlet. If you don't, super cliff note. It's the Prince of Denmark trying to get revenge on the king, who's his uncle, and he takes his sweet time doing it. But it's it's one of the greatest things ever written, and he has this incredible speech, again kind of similar to the panel one, where all these men are just like probably gonna go to their graves. It's like all these soldiers for so little land. There's this great big battle going on while the story of Hamlet is going on, and Hamlet witnesses just a taste of it. Like, I don't even know if he sees the battle. He just hears like the statistics. He hears what's going on, and he realizes like, what the hell am I doing? There is so much more I could be doing. Why am I wasting my time? Why am I being this emotional priss? Why am I obsessing over this? Why aren't I acting? Why aren't I trumping on this and saying the time is now? Do it. Don't think about it. Don't cry over it. Just do it. And it's one of those speeches where I think everybody at some time either just feels really tired or really down or whatever, and whatever, you could have a condition, so I mean, it doesn't apply to everybody, but for me, whenever I feel like, oh, it was more back then, it's not as much now, but every once in a while I feel like, oh, I'm just tired, I need a moment, or oh geez, I feel bad about something that doesn't matter, I'll sort of think of that speech. I even had a printout of it for a while at my computer desk, and it would just inspire me, because it is the ultimate, do you know what's going on in other places in the world? Do you know what other people are going through? And I know that doesn't work for everybody, nor necessarily should it, but it's a great inspiration for me when you think about just what is going on in the world, and it's like, compare your troubles to the real troubles of the earth and the majority of real troubles going on. And to me, that speech just sums that up. It just puts you right in there and says, you know what? What the fuck are you crying about? Go in, do what you have the privilege of doing, and do it to the best of your ability. That's very much what that speech says to me. Or just, hey, stop slacking around, kill your uncle. But either way, I get a lot out of that speech, and that's, if you see like a stage version, that's always the big applaud moment, because it's just this grand speech, and it's shot so beautifully. It's just one shot, but it's Kevin Branagh just on this beautiful landscape. It starts really tight on him, and it just pulls far and far away until you just see all these grand mountains, and he's a little speck. And doesn't that sum it up? Doesn't that sum up just the grand things of the world, the grand joy and the grand misery? And here he is, just this little speck, but that little speck can be the world or it can be nothing. And it's a phenomenal moment. I thought that's just like, oh, that's like the best moment in the movie. It's a really good movie. I mean, it's Hamlet, but it's like, that's my personal favorite one. So, yeah, I've gone on and on about those scenes, so two more of my favorites. Number 7. The Train from Spirited Away. A lot of you know this scene. For many, it's one of their favorite scenes in the movie, too. It's so simple, but it's so beautiful. It's just Zen and No Face, the characters from this movie, who have gotten out of this bizarre bathhouse, almost like a prison, and it's just a madhouse, and they get onto this train, and it's just a moment of quiet peace going from one place to another. Like her troubles aren't over yet, but she's away from the really extreme stuff. I mean, this is after this huge chase scene, and the character she's seeing with on the train, was like this giant monster a second ago, like with big teeth, and, several times her life has been threatened, and all this madness is constantly in her face, and now she's on this train, and it's not an escape from it all, because it's still weird, it's still surreal, and her troubles are still with her, but it's a rest. It's a rest away from everything, and it's just her sitting on this train, and it's this very calm music that's playing, and she's looking out over this surreal landscape of, like, water everywhere. It's, like, drowned half of the stuff, like half the place, and she looks out and sees these shadows. I mean, isn't that perfect? It's like everything else is kind of in focus, but the people are kind of shadows, and they're the perfect visuals to have when you're just sitting there thinking. I think everyone's been on a train or a bus or something, mode of transportation, where it's like you just sit down, you think. You just sort of let everything set for a minute. And I think this moment, even though the movie's amazing, I think this is sort of the moment that elevated it from really good and creative to just remarkable. Like, you don't see this that much in films anymore, and there's no talking, there's no dialogue, they're just sitting there, and they're letting everything that has happened finally just sit with them, because people need that. I mean, they need that moment to just sort of, like, sit for a minute and be like, okay, what just happened? What does this mean? Just let it decompress, let it sort of, melt in your head, and just relax for a minute. And it's just beautiful imagery. And there's one moment I always remember. They're like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm like reading too much into it, but you got all these shadowed people getting on and off the train. And as they're leaving, she sees like what looks like a little kid there at one of the stops. And there's no parent there. There's nobody there with her. Or it could be a little boy, I can't remember, but and there's just this one little person there, and it goes by, and I think she even sort of took another look, like, who was that? And we never know. Again, kind of like the speech before the Hamlet speech. It's like the troubles going on in the world, and it's like we don't know the story of that little person there, if that was even a kid or just a little person, whatever, and we have no idea what the story is. And all those people that get on and off the train, they have their own stories, and they move like they have their own stories. And it's one of those things where you just kind of look at it and be like, yeah, it strangely puts things into perspective. It really is a kind of a bizarre moment of clarity when you just sit down and breathe. I mean, just letting yourself breathe in the middle of so much chaos. And man, what a beautiful moment. It's hard to explain. There's something almost kind of magical about certain modes of transportation. And a train is one of them. There's something always kind of neat, especially like when the day is done and you're heading home either from like a fun trip or work or whatever. There's something bizarrely, I don't know, in the middle of the road about a train where you just sort of get on and it's like you're not happy, you're not sad, you're just kind of in this world of quiet, in this almost Zen state. No pun intended. So, yeah, love that scene. Just a wonderful scene. In my opinion, really took it from a good film to like, a phenomenal film. So, yeah, definitely a great moment. Number 6. The ending of A Christmas Carol. This is the George C. Scott version. Yes, he comes back. God damn it, he was such a good actor. That was like one of my favorite actors. And he plays Ebenezer Scrooge, my personal favorite. Although Alistair Sims is like really, really close. Like he's my personal favorite. In terms of which one is best, I can't choose. It's apples and oranges. They are so different. But my favorite moment is the ending when he goes to his nephew's house, and he just very professionally but very lovingly admits he was wrong and apologizes and asks if his invitation to dinner that day is still open. And he just, the music and the acting, it is done with such grace and with such ease. And all their expressions are just pitch perfect. The nephew just listening to Scrooge say this stuff. I mean, stuff he's wanted to hear for years, and just out of the blue, he just says it. And he says it so lovingly and caringly and without any hint of cynicism. And he's just so blown away, and he's just trying to figure out how to take this in. And Scrooge is just so humble and just knows that he was wrong, and he is just admitting all this. And there's a wonderful scene where he goes to the nephew's wife, and when he says, and he's seen them all make fun of him in the alternate version, in the Christmas Day with the Ghost of Christmas Present. And so he knows that if he wasn't there, she and everybody would probably make fun of him. But then to hear, her say, we are so happy to have you here, happy to have you with us. And he just has this look. It's like a split second. He just gives this little twinge in his eyebrows, and he just says, have I? Like, really? I actually made a loving impact on someone just by showing up. And it is just a perfect moment. And he just sort of puts his arms around. He says, God forgive me for the time I've wasted. And it's just, man, you feel that. I mean, it's so on the head with the message is trying to get across, and whatever, the Christmas spirit, and you could argue corny and everything, but it just does it so well, and is just so warm, and it's so beautiful. And again, it's that feeling of home. It's that feeling of like he's been away from home through his own self-punishment, and now he's allowed himself to come and be home with family, and he's let it go. He's actually allowed himself to open up. And people always say this story's done to death, and I know what they're talking about, but it's done to death because it's an incredible story, and when it's done right, it is so phenomenal. And that's one of my favorite moments. It's just, man, it gets me every single time. Every time I watch it every Christmas, that's the part where I'm like, that's the part where I tear up. So, just wonderful, wonderful moment. Great film. Check it out if you haven't already. Number 5. Eddie's desk from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That might sound a little weird, but again, this is what film is supposed to do. Film is a visual medium, and there is talking and writing and all that stuff, but it is meant to be visual. You're supposed to use the camera to tell the story, and this is a scene that does it so brilliantly. This is a scene where it's Eddie Valiant. He's coming home. He's just looking at the photos from the last job he did, and he finds photos from an old vacation, and no dialogue, no talking at all. He's just looking, and he's smiling, and he's looking at the pictures and everything, and then he gets to the pictures of his brother, who we know is dead, and it's just the look on his face. Oh, fuck me, Bob Hoskins was so amazing. Like, when I think of just great acting, I either think of, with him anyway, I think of him from Othello, which is obviously very dialogue heavy, and a lot of talking, and but he does it all brilliant. And I think of this, where there is no talking at all, and you just know everything he's feeling, and everything hits a bullseye. And when he sees his brother, he just thinks for a minute there, and he just sort of sets the picture down, and he looks up, and he looks at his desk, and the camera shows everything you need to know about this guy. Everything strictly visually through newspaper cutouts and props, and that the chair is not touched, and that he has all his brother's stuff laid out, and it shows stuff from the circus. It shows like when they were with their dad, and it shows like all the crimes that they stopped and everything. It shows them when they opened up the pot. It just shows their whole history, and the music, good God, that music just totally carries it as well, and it just shows you the entire past. Just the whole life of this guy and his brother, and you get everything. You get everything that you're meant to feel and you're meant to know. And on top of that being such a great scene and showing so much, it actually is a passage of time, because when it cuts back, it's suddenly morning, and Lieutenant Santino, he comes in and wakes him up. It's like, it's amazing, and it's such a little scene that a lot of people don't think about. They're like, oh, that was touching, whatever, but it's actually an amazingly done scene for how much it does, and with how little it does it. And to me, that's just the incredible incredible power of film that you can do so much with just this tiny bit, but you just work so much on those tiny parts and you just try to get it perfect and exactly right. And that scene just got it exactly right. And even a film about a detective with a cartoon rabbit can be so emotional and so brilliant and so fantastically done. And they can take something that, could have been, just left off, oh, whatever, just some sort of kids film or something like that about a cartoon rabbit, who cares, and just make it one of my favorite movie scenes, one of my favorite emotional scenes. It does what movies are supposed to do. So I adore it. It's just amazing. Watch that scene again. It's really a powerhouse moment. Number 4. The ending of Fearless. This, again, is really tough because it's so hard to talk about without spoiling it. I'll try my best to do it without giving it away. But this movie is about a guy who survives a plane crash, and it's just him dealing with it. Like, he sort of put himself in this mode that he was ready to die and he was supposed to be at peace with it, but then he survives. And a lot of other people die, but he survives. And it's him just trying to come to grips with it, and he's just, like, mentally lost. And it's an amazing film. It's, like, phenomenally done. And we get to this ending where, again, without giving away too much, he sort of relives the experience, but he also sort of... He's transitioning. It's sort of both dying and being reborn again. That's the best way I can describe it. And again, it's sort of this intense panic, but this intense relaxation. It's this intense fear, but also this intense joy. It's just sort of everything in this one moment, and it's all amped up to like 10. It's just all this emotion is going in, all these, intense negative ones and these intense positive ones, and they're all come together in this one scene, and it really is kind of like an out-of-body experience. If you just watch this movie, and this movie has balls, by the way. This is a film, I always tell people, this is a brilliant film. This is one of my favorite films, but it's fucking heavy. I think everyone always thinks like, oh, you gotta see something about like, what's happening either in like bad neighborhoods or like other countries, or these really sad things where, mass genocide and stuff. And those are awful, don't get me wrong. There's been brilliant films that have addressed that. But at the same time, just something like a plane crash. I mean, everyone has heard about plane crashes and either knows someone or has, heard stories about someone that lost somebody in a plane crash. And I mean, this just takes just one of those. I mean, something goes wrong, the plane crashes, you just follow one life, and and all the lives, all the misery that surrounded it, and it's super, super heavy. I mean, they do not shy away from really intense, heavy stuff, but it's warranted. It's so warranted, because then when you get to these scenes where you see this guy trying to get out of this funk, or he's trying to just do something, he's trying to either embrace this mode that he's been put in, or he's trying to escape it, and you get why he's there, and it all builds up to this incredible ending, just this incredible moment that, again, I can't give away, I can't talk more about, I wish I could, but it's just this incredible meeting of like every emotion you can imagine in one moment, and it's done through visuals, it's done through music, it's done through a little dialogue, not much. It's mostly done through the visuals and the acting and the effects. There's incredible effects and just such choice visuals, and it really does feel like you're like almost going to the next world, for lack of a better way of putting it. It's like the closest thing I could think of watching a film where it's like, wow, it's almost like I saw the light at the end of the tunnel here. It's just an amazing moment. And it's another one where I actually did, like, when I first saw it, I did actually get teary-eyed at the end. I did cry at this one. I don't cry in many movies, but, like, this one, I was just like, something got me with this one. And I stayed pretty dry-eyed throughout the whole film, but when I got to that ending, I'm like, oh my god, this was an experience. I mean, this was just an incredible experience from a really, really well done film. So yeah, like I said, I can't really go too much more into it. I guess that was enough the more I think about it, but it's a really, really big, heavy moment. Definitely worth checking out. It's a breathtaking film. It's heavy. It's tough to get through, but it's a brilliant film and definitely worth checking out. Number 3. Scout meets Boo from To Kill a Mockingbird. This a part of me almost feels like, really, I gotta put this on there. I gotta put like the cliche To Kill a Mockingbird. It's so good. Every time I see this movie, it's so fucking good. It's just this punch in the face. It's so good. I always say that when I think something is so great, I'm just like, I want to punch it. It's so good. I don't know why. It just brings out like so many emotions. And it's like, man fist. I don't know, stupid, but yeah, there's so many good moments in this film. I mean, too many to count. But the one that, again, I don't even know why. I don't know why this gets to me so much. And even in the film, I'm almost not even sure why it's sort of shot in this way. Or maybe I do, but it's, again, without giving away too much for those who haven't seen it, Boo in this movie, who's kind of this guy, he's kept away in his house, he doesn't come out that much, and he's just a total shut-in, and he's awkward and everything, and Scout, the main character, they always talk about this guy, and it's like, should we, they kind of pick on him, but they kind of don't, they're more afraid of him and stuff, and they finally meet at the end here. One was involved in kind of saving the life of the other, and they just see each other, and the music plays up and they see each other, and it's kind of this idea that it's like they've always known each other and they've always seen each other but never actually visually saw each other. It's so hard to explain, but it's like they see each other all the time, but this is the first time they're really meeting each other, the first time they're experiencing each other, and they're having it at this moment where it was kind of like a life and death moment, and now they're finally really, it's like they what is that? They looked, but they did not see. That's the cliche I'll throw out there. Like, they looked at each other, but they did not see each other. This is the first time they're seeing each other. And the music just builds up, and I remember when I first saw this movie, I saw this guy playing Boo, and I just remember thinking to myself, that guy didn't have a line of dialogue, but he was amazing. I wonder if that guy ever went on to anything. I had no idea it was Robert Duvall. But what a testament to great acting. A guy has no lines and just like runs the gamut of all these emotions in this one scene, and so quickly. And the girl in there playing Scout, I mean, just amazing. What an amazing moment, and just the look on their faces, like they can't even decide on a look. There's so much emotion running through them, and like I think in other movies or other performances that'd be seen as kind of like lazy, or like not lazy, but like confused or clumsy. But it's like you see, because everything else in the movie is so well done that when it gets to that moment, it's like, no, they're not trying to find an emotion like they don't know how to act it. That's how to act it, because they don't know how to experience the other. They don't know how, they're just so blown away by the other, that they're finally seeing each other. And it's kind of a short scene, but the way the music builds and the way those two work off each other, and it's amazing. It's an amazing moment in a film that has so many amazing moments. And I think these kind of films where, I'm one of those where it's like prejudice is very real, and race is very, discrimination, all that stuff is very real. And usually ones where they go back in the past and they show how bad it was, like, again, all really real, but how can you show sort of a new way of getting your message across, and a new way of showing how real this was? Because, I mean, you can show these movies, and a lot of them do it brilliant, but there's others that try to get across their, idea of equality and prejudice and stuff, show the evils of prejudice, and they just come across as like, well, we've seen this a million times. What are you adding that's new? What are you adding that's going to stick? And this movie, just in so many different angles and ways, through a child's point of view, an adult's point of view, really shows, air freshener, sorry, really shows just that incredible, just this incredible time that you still sort of shake your head and say, I can't believe, like, this time existed. And you see it through not just the race going on, but you see it through just other little things, like just a little kid, like who's that guy in the house, or what's he doing, or whatever. I mean, just all sorts of these little elements of prejudice that everyone can relate to. Everyone can look at and be like, I get it. I understand this. I understand this point of view that they're talking about. And in this very simple moment of these two looking at each other, you just suddenly see all those barriers and everything being broken down, and you see them just seeing each other for human beings. And it's phenomenal. It tears me apart every time. So, brilliant moment from a brilliant film. Always said to be one of the greatest films, like a film classic, and it really is. I just adore it. Number 2. Descent into Mystery from Batman. I know it's weird that I have this so high, but it's, again, there's little talking in it. But it's just the power of film. It's just Batman in the Batmobile driving Vicky Vale to the Batcave. That's it. Nothing else. But again, you know what? They said, no, we're not going to have it just be that. We're going to make it feel like you're watching Batman. You are experiencing Batman. What you're seeing right now, no, this isn't Michael Keaton in a suit in this car, and that's not Kim Basinger. You are experiencing Batman. And we're going to do everything in our fucking power to make that happen. And the atmosphere, the trees, the car, the music, the unbelievable music of just a car driving. But Elfman said the same thing. No, you know what? Like, nothing's going on here. This is just, I'm gonna fucking create Batman. We are creating Batman. We are giving you Batman. Here you go. This is your childhood icon. This is your superhero. This is for a lot of people like the superhero, like the ultimate one. And we're gonna give him to you. And whenever I see that moment, it's not a movie. It's Batman. I am experiencing Batman. And it's a moment where you could cut it from the film. You could just cut to, Kim Basinger getting in the car and them just showing up at the Batcave. You could have done that. The Nolan version probably would have done that. I'm being so mean. I gotta stop. I gotta stop picking on Nolan. I love Dark Knight and I like Batman Begins. So I gotta stop being so mean. But that is something that I felt like, as good as Dark Knight was, that's still Christian Bale as Batman. And this is still, I thought Ledger sort of took, to me, Ledger wasn't even the Joker. That was almost like something else. It's just sort of its own unique creation that, embodied the Joker, but maybe even took it to a next level. But everything else was a movie about Batman. But that's not what this moment did, in the original Batman. That was Batman. You just got it. It let you sit there and be like, we're just gonna let you enjoy the size and the scope and the awesomeness that you have been waiting for years to see. And we're gonna let it sit in, and we're gonna let you just enjoy it, and that's what it did. And Keaton can just do nothing. He can just sit there in a car driving. Once in a while he can glance over, and that's it. He's Batman. It's just, there's no other Batman. I take it back. Kevin Conroy is pretty good. But even Conroy is there's so many different versions, and he's drawn and stuff like that. I mean, but a physical, human being, there he is. You can actually see him in 3D and everything. It's Keaton. I mean, there has never been a better Batman. And he just embodies it, and he gets it, and to a point where he can just sit there in a car and just, you're not driving with Michael Keaton in a batsuit, you're driving with Batman. And it's just an incredible moment of so little going on, but just no, we're gonna play this up. We're gonna give you the ultimate moment where you just sit there. It's like, I was just driving with Batman. It's just an amazing moment. And I don't know, I think why it's so high up there, because it takes something as silly as a guy that dresses up in a batsuit, and they made a show with Adam West, and they took why this has gone through so many reincarnations and so many different versions, and said, we are going to take what makes that so special, and we're going to give it to you in this scene. And all the rest of the movie is also wonderful and supports and everything, but we're going to let you experience everything that you love about this character, the feeling of this character in this moment. where it's not dialogue, it's not character, it's not like all this other stuff being explained. It's just a moment of feeling. You feel like you're with Batman. And again, it's the power of film. And that's what film does. It's not a play. It's not dialogue. It's not talking. It's not even exactly visual. It's all these things combined together. It is, it's not just one element. It's all the elements. It's all the elements combined, and it's just phenomenal. And again, it just shows me something I grew up with as a kid just suddenly having like this incredible impact that makes you feel both like a kid and an adult at the same time. And love those moments. I love Batman, and I experienced Batman in this moment, and it was phenomenal. And my number one favorite movie moment is the walk with Mr. Banks from Mary Poppins. I know what you're thinking. Fucking really? Mary Poppins is your favorite movie moment? It's the walk, man. It's where Mr. Banks is walking to lose his job. And he has put everything in this job. He has put his job before his family, and he is about to lose it. And it is this long walk, and it's this incredible music, these unbelievable shots. Some are obviously drawings and stuff, but the drawings are beautiful, and the atmosphere is unbelievable. And again, just no talking. And it's another moment where you just sort of, we've all had this walk. Everybody's had this walk where something really heavy or incredible is going on, and you're just trying to put into perspective. You're trying to figure out what's next, or what does this mean, or how did you get here? I mean, it's like past, present, future, everything is in this walk. And this simple kids film, as simple as Mary Poppins, just does it brilliantly. And when I was a kid, I saw this moment and I said, I don't, a little kid, I'm like, I don't fully know what's going on, but I know it's important. I know this is really, really important, and this needs to be here. But I didn't quite get it. I just knew, again, kids think very emotionally. And so they don't know how to put things into words or logic, but they think with their emotions. And I just knew in this film, in order for it to be like really big and important, that a scene like this needed to be here. And it still does. This is what elevates it from a really great film, a great kids film, to, classic, masterpiece. And it's this moment that is so adult. I fucking wish more adult films have moments like this. And, we're on a good time for movies, in my opinion. I say the week Fantastic Four comes out. But we honestly are in a very kind of fun experimental mode, even though we're recreating all this stuff, in comic book movies and stuff. We're still trying new things, and it's great. But yeah, I mean, when you think like, what was that, the 60s, I think, or the 70s, whatever, this movie, Mary Poppins, this movie for kids where they sing and there's little birds and stuff like that, here's this super adult moment that you don't even see in that many like adult big budget films nowadays, of just a person walking, and it's this heavy music is playing, and it's dark and it's gothic, and there's these incredible shots, and a lot of times it's not even close-ups of him. It's like just the environment does the talking for you. Again, it's doing what film is so good at doing and what it's supposed to do, and it just totally blows your mind away from doing. It's just so phenomenal how you can just show a guy walking and you get it, you just feel it, and you just get the weight of everything. And in a kid's film, in a film where they were having a tea party on the ceiling, and they're doing this. And it's that combination of everything, with visuals, with music, with atmosphere, with environment, that just makes this such an unbelievable moment. And it just, I don't know. We've all had that walk. We have all had that walk. And this movie got it. This simple kids movie about a nanny that makes the kids feel better and everything got this walk. And it gave the time to really let you experience it. And it's just an amazing moment. Even up to where he walks to the actual room where, you know, the bankers are waiting and everything. When he opens the door and there's just that, it's totally black and there's that little red center where the bankers are waiting and stuff like that. I mean, that's like out of a Kubrick film. Everyone always kind of like say, oh, Mary Poppins and Disney and stuff, cheapy, you know, gimmicks and tricks and manipulative and everything. But it's like, well, first of all, it's all a trick. It's all manipulative. It's film. That's theater. It's all manipulative. But yeah, you just think about how much weight and how much work went into so much of this, and how much time and effort. And they said, hey, we're not just gonna do this to make money. We're going to do this to give something really phenomenal. You know, the reason so many people go to Hollywood to make films. And sometimes they can come out in stuff that you didn't think it would come out in. And every time I see that scene, again, it sort of takes me back to when I was a child. It makes me think of, you know, present day and stuff going on. It makes me think about the future. You know, it's everything embodied, and it's just wonderful about film. And the emotional moment and the visuals and the environment, and I'm just repeating myself now. It's a great moment, and I knew it when I was a kid too. I knew this was an important moment, and I still feel it. Like I said, just anyone can look at that scene and be like, yeah, I've been there. Everybody's been there. Like I said, everybody's had that walk. And it just clicks and you get it. And it's a scene that so often is overlooked when people think of Mary Poppins. I'm just so blown away when they're like, you know, oh yeah, that scene, yeah, and they sort of don't really think that hard about it, but it's like, watch it again and just let it sink in. I think people are just so quick to dismiss it as like, oh, great part of childhood, fun, whatever, but you know, no, I'm an adult, I want adult stuff and everything. And I think because there is such a boom in animated films and family films and stuff right now, they're kind of going back to these originals and seeing why they worked. So why do they still kind of stay with us? And when you watch them again, yeah, some stuff's for little kids, whatever, but then you'll hit like these really heavy, incredible moments because they were taking it so seriously and they were trying to do something that was not being done, not just in kids' films, but like in adult films too. I don't see moments like that where a character is just walking and there's no dialogue, no talking, not even really any close-ups, and you just feel everything. You feel everything that character is going through, and you just get it so quickly. Like I said, there's something so important about getting kids' films right and kids' stories right, because you're breaking it down to the bare bones. Like, okay, we can't get too complicated, we can't get into anything super tricky, we just gotta stick to the bare bones, what's gonna affect you. And when you get it, it's amazing. It's almost like, you know, a Zen riddle or something like that. Just break it down to the most essential elements of life, like what's gonna hit you, because kids speak through emotions. But those emotions are still real, and they'll still affect you if done right when you're an adult. In fact, it'll break down these barriers of dialogue and communication that we're used to this communication you almost forgot about and are often told to ignore to get this other communication done. And at times you need to, don't get me wrong, but for a film to suddenly come out and be like, hey, we're going to hit you right in the feels. We're going to hit you in something that everybody identifies with. It's a great moment. So I've gone on and on about it. So yeah, those are my top 10 favorite movie moments ever. I hope you enjoyed this. There will be a new NC next week, and I hope you guys really like that as well. Sorry, I couldn't get to it this week. Just, you know, I'm a busy guy as a live, you know. But I hope you enjoyed this, and hopefully I will see you around next time. Later.